Welcome back to another episode. Um, we've actually had both of you guys on, but last time I felt like there was something missing. Like we always basically discuss our podcasts once we're done with them. So after each episode, we just kind of like review over them, just kind of see like key points that we probably missed. And one thing that we really missed in both podcasts was talking about music. Like the whole podcast, we kind of wanted to talk about music a little bit more, but we went into other ideas. With Dominique, we went more into the entrepreneur side, and with Gary, we just talked more about like life itself. And yeah, like today, we're just kind of like here to discuss music and just different elements, different aspects of it. Anything you want to add, Pedro?
No. I just wanted to say it's really cool to have all of you guys being a part of the podcast, a part of this episode, and whoever wants to start off, how you guys got inspired in music,
Mm-hmm.
or do stuff again, or.
Well, I wanted to thank you guys for re-inviting me on, and I'm not gonna lie. The first podcast, I didn't really know what kind of numbers you guys were doing, and then I didn't know you guys were so official. You guys got your own Instagram page, and next thing you know, I see this page and I follow it, and I didn't know that my freaking video clips were on IG. Like at first, I thought it was like a phone call deal. The Pedro's like, "Oh, hop on camera." So I hop on camera, so I'm thinking maybe we're just on camera talking, or then I hear the podcast on Spotify, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then I started seeing clips. I'm like, dang. And, it was cool. You do good work, Alex. The way that you put the videos together with the captions and all that. But, I'm happy to be on here again and be able to chop it up with you guys.
Yeah, same here. The first time you guys invited me on, it was surreal because, like I mentioned on the podcast, like I listen to podcasts. I'm a podcast listener, consumer, if you will. So to be featured on one was a real treat, and it was cool to just open up and share certain things about my life. I didn't know you guys put videos though. I don't have an Instagram, so
okay.
Yeah, so I just realized that right now when Dominique mentioned that. So that's cool. Maybe I'll make an IG just to go on there and see what you posted. Yeah, but yeah, glad to be back, and I'm looking forward to whatever questions and everything we're gonna dive into here.
Yeah, I'll probably help you guys like narrate, since most of you guys are composers, writers. You guys actually rap. I'll probably be narrating, just asking the hard hitting questions. Of course, we're gonna start off with something very simple, and I think Pedro already touched upon, which is how did you guys get into music, and how long have you guys been doing it? All three of you guys could answer.
At the same time. No, I'm just kidding.
Not at the same time.
I guess I could. Yeah, I can start. Yeah. So most of my family all has a musical background. So my grandfather was pretty devoted to music, and I talk about it in the last podcast, kind of hopping around house to house. But I spent a good amount of my childhood living with him. So he sings, he plays guitar, and he would write plays, and he would do puppet shows. So he was pretty creative in general, and he got me on the path of wanting to play guitar. And to be honest, I played every now and then, and I slipped up for a while, and I stopped playing. But I'm happy today. I actually told myself I'm going to hop back on it, so I went and bought this bad boy. Super clean, 300 off the door, and but yeah. So back on story, he inspired me to start playing guitar. So he would buy me guitars sometimes on Christmas and start showing me how to play. Now, as far as rapping and making beats and all that, some of the other stuff I did, my dad used to be a rapper, and he basically stopped when he got my mom pregnant with my older brother. So he took it up to a pretty good level, and he had a record label, a smaller type of record label from back in the day. He was doing shows, he was doing interviews, so he could have really taken off. But he decided to stop once he had his first son. So as I was becoming older, I knew that I could rap and do certain things, and I would just do it to help my grandpa with the project that he's doing and whatnot. But what made me get serious with it is kind of funny. Me and Pedro were just talking about it earlier, but my mom and my dad separated for a little bit, and she started dating a rapper, and he was pretty good. His name was Noah Jones, so he was good. He had legit music videos. He had legit features, and I was looking at this guy like he's really going to be famous. So me and my best friend at the time, Adam, we basically talked, and we're like, look, let's get into the music game. Let's start rapping. And when this guy gets famous, he can bring us up with him. So we had a group called DNA. It stood for Domo and Adam because my nickname is Domo. So we would beat every week making raps, and eventually he parted from it, but I stuck to it for a while, and I just kept writing, and I had my own home studio. I learned how to engineer my own stuff. I wasn't mixing and mastering, but I was making my own songs, and I started putting out mixtapes, and the whole school would get to listen to them at some point, and I was getting tagged and stuff like, "Oh, I woke up playing this song." My stage name was Smooth Dollar. I took it after my dad. He called himself Smooth Dollar, so I was getting tagged in Facebook posts like, "Oh, woke up listening to this song by Smooth Dollar," and I was shooting music videos. And even once I got to high school, in one of the better high schools I went to, they had a music class, which is unheard of. Like everyone wanted to be in a music class, so everyone had a Mac. We used GarageBand. We made beats all day. We got to record once a week. We got to do freestyles in class. So I basically got the reputation of being the most musical talented one in class, and we even set up like a cipher, and we had auditions. So I was just really pushing it for a while, but what I would say when I ended up stopping was, as I talked about in the last podcast, me and Pedro lived together, and I was working really early. I was working since I was 13, 14. But when I was 16, me and Pedro were in a three-seater pickup truck, like busting out furniture deliveries. So I was working. We were doing so many furniture deliveries. It got to the point where it was like, okay, I need to work and make money and help out with the bills. I can't really do music no more. So that was my biggest regret, was becoming an adult too early and not being able to really stick it through and keep working on music. But yeah, that's kind of my story of how I got into it and whatnot.
Gary?
Nice. That's a great story, man. Thanks for sharing.
Appreciate it.
Let's see. So, I mean, as far as my exposure to being around music and different, listening to different genres, it all started when I was a baby, really. So, like a couple of my older brothers, one who passed away, they were into hip hop, rap, rock. One of my brothers, the one who passed away, his name is Adrian. He used to b-boy, breakdance and shit back in the day, and beatbox. I don't know if he rapped. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. If you're beatboxing, you might put some rhymes in there. So he used to do that. I have another brother named Chris, and we're about 10 years apart. And so he was probably the one that I got closest to of all my siblings. And so he exposed me to a lot of old school rappers, of course Tupac, Biggie, but like even like underground artists, right? So I started getting that bug in my mind, in my ear. Eventually, when I turned about 10, I think about that was that was around the time when I discovered Mike Jones from Texas, and then I also discovered what's the rap group with Big Boy and Andre 2000.
Outkast.
It's a group, Outkast, yeah. And so those two particular, those three artists they really had my ear at that age, and I was like wanting to sound like them, wanting to mimic them, learn their songs, and then Eminem, all this stuff like that. But when I started getting into the studio, that was in high school, and I was probably like 11th grade or something like that, maybe 12th grade. And I told Pedro this story. I had this elective class. I think it was like 6th period or something like that. And that's where I met the guy that I would go on to start making music with. His name is Andy. And one time he had heard me beatboxing, and he was like, wow, that's pretty good. And he goes, do you rap? And I'm like, yeah, a little bit. And then he goes, oh, cool, I make beats. So he lived in Cudahy. I lived in Bell or HP at the time. So we weren't far from each other, right? And then so he was like, well, come over. I already got beats. And then eventually we made our first song. It's called, I think it was called Soul, Soul. And it's an acronym that stands for Strive or You Lose. So from that point forward, we started making a lot of music together. We dropped one album together. It's called Rosemary's Baby. And the album cover is me as a baby with a keyboard in front of me. So when I came across that picture in my photo album, I was like, this got to be the photo album. I mean, this got to be the album cover. Like, this is basically I'm Rosemary's Baby. I've been into music since I was a baby, so I thought it was perfect, right, for the album cover. And yeah, so we put out that album. We're pretty consistent. We did a couple of like live performances, put out some music videos, and then we kind of just drifted apart, right? Like life took over. Like I went one way with work and what I had going on in my life, and then same thing with him. So, and to this point, like we don't even have no contact. I don't even have his number, email, nothing. And then the only platform you could find the music on now is SoundCloud, which I'm grateful for. But all of it's gone off of YouTube and all the other platforms that it was once on. And I started thinking to myself, like, did he remove all that stuff from YouTube or what? Like, what happened? You know, it's kind of disappointing because there was some good music videos on there that we were in. You know, so. But yeah, I mean, I've been around music since I was little. You know, just my dad being a baby boomer and coming from that generation and all the music that they would listen to, from oldies but goodies to classic rock to metal to blues, jazz, you name it. Like I was exposed to it all, so that's why I have an appreciation for pretty much every genre. And I find like even with these mainstream pop artists today in rap, like a lot of people, they get a lot of flack for, you know, sounding quote unquote stupid or whatever, but you can still hear like they drop some bars, you know what I'm saying? They say some pretty intelligent things in between their rap. So I appreciate it all when it comes to music. And me and Pedro, we did a talent show together. We won first place in high school. That was fun.
Show off.
That was very no, never a show off, but that was I can't believe I did it, you know? I can't believe I was up there. Like he looked like a pro to me because the way he was grabbing the mic and just out there, I was like, wow, like in real time, you know? I was blown away by his performance.
Gary, tell him about the mic.
Yeah, so the funny story is when we were backstage preparing to go on stage to perform, they only had two mics. They had like a real microphone that you hold in your hand, and they had like this fucking
earpiece,
you know, Britney Spears NSYNC headset microphone, and I ended up getting that one. So I was a little embarrassed because of what my mindset at the time was. It was to me kind of like a feminine microphone, but yeah, we had a good time. That was a good memory, and yeah, I just can't believe I really got into it and started actually making my own music and writing my own material when I look back on it. But I did, and I think I was pretty good at it, you know, in the most humble way. But I thought I was good. Well, that's it, guys. That's my spiel.
I've listened to Dominique's music, and it's pretty good. You know, I lived with you and I heard it and everything. I heard the song you did with Moment as well, and it was really good. With Gary, I've seen and heard your music as well, and you're also good. To me, obviously, I'm just gonna before I start off how I got into music, I'm gonna say how we understand we're grown already, right? Like obstacles comes, life comes, and then we drift away from a lot of things. Like I haven't dropped music in a while, and I'm just like I was so passionate about music that people even ask me like, do you still make music or what's going on? You know, it's like, well, I got things going on. I work like 6 days a week. You know what I mean? But so like to me, I know you guys are very talented, So at a certain point, I was like, man, I would hit Dominique up, and I was like, are you still gonna make music? And I'll tell you, Gary. And then to me, it's like I was disappointed at a time when I was like, man, you guys have a lot of potential. But then I sounded like a trick because I'm not doing it. But this is how I started getting into music. Obviously, like mom and my dad are Mexican, but no cultural, whatever. But like with the whole Spanish music, I got into all of that. I started listening to that, and then I had friends that were rockers listening to rock, and then R&B, etc., etc. The only reason why I got into rap is because I could relate to it a lot. The way I started was this guy. I used to live in a hotel called the Hotel by Skid Row in LA, and this guy was like, "Hey, you like Eminem?" And I was like, "Yeah," but I wasn't really into it. He gave me the Yellow Brick Road CD, and he gave me the 8 Mile movie that I had on repeat. Probably seen it like 4 times. But then I heard one of his songs called "Lose Yourself," and then I started getting more involved. Like started being a fan, and started listening the things that he was going through, and I related it. I related in a lot of ways, and from being with my mom, right? From my mom being on drugs, from my mom being with different guys every other week, from not well, my dad wasn't with her, and it was I'll bounce back and forth from my mom's house to my dad's house. Wasn't really stable, going to 14 different schools. So I kind of related a lot into his life. So I kind of wanted to do my story, but in my own way. But then it got hard because like you can't please people, right? Like I said in the last podcast, um, I can't. I was rapping and it's you sound too much like Eminem, and then I'll rap this way. It doesn't sound like you have passion. So then I told myself, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna do music, but the way that I want to do it, right? And obviously I drifted away from music because I just had like the older you get, goals change. At least for myself, like goals changed for me. Before it was like you guys probably know I wanted to be famous. I was like, I want to be famous. I want to be famous. I want everybody to know me. I want the money. But now it's like I just want peace. I just want peace. I just want love. I want a stable job, but I still want to make music on the side. You know, um, but that's basically what happened. And then in school, that's where I met Gary in high school, and everybody knew me as like, oh, the rapper. The rapper, the rapper, the rapper. And at the time, it's like there was times when I was like, heck, you get that like that I don't know how you would call it, but you get that excitement, like man, everybody knows me. But then you go home and you feel lonely, and that's how I felt. I was like, yeah, everybody knew me, but then I would go home and I was like, damn, I'm lonely. You know what I mean? So, like I said, like that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, it's very interesting to hear all of you guys' stories and see.
Thanks for sharing, Pedro.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Pedro. I always forget. My bad, bro. No, yeah.
Hey,
Good, bro.
No. Let's rewind it and say thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing, Dominique.
let's
Thank
start the
you
whole
for sharing,
podcast all
Pedro.
over. No, I'm
Like, we're gonna be here just basically thinking like this is a fucking Thanksgiving dinner, bro. No,
Right,
but yeah,
My name is
thanks.
Pedro, and I have an addiction to music. No, I'm kidding.
No, but thank you guys for sharing, and I really appreciate you guys telling us how you guys got into the music, and it's always good to hear also like little stories that each of you guys have with each other, and honestly, like it's just really cool to see like people from like two different eras of P-Lab's life, like just kind of like come together. That's really cool, honestly. But just to continue on with the music, I just kind of wanted to ask all of you guys that have created, made music. What do you guys think is like the most difficult aspect of actually creating like a good song or an enjoyable song?
I gotta think about that one.
Anybody want to answer first?
I'd say okay. When I look back on just being in the studio with Andy and coming up with lyrics on the spot, because a lot of the songs I did, most of them we'd knock it out in one studio session, right? Like I didn't write it beforehand and then come in and record it. It was like I would write it in the studio, record it in the studio, and we'd be done with that song. So I would say like that was for me a challenge to do, but and then there's always this aspect of, is it good enough, right? You start thinking like, is this good enough? Like, no, I can scratch that word or scratch that sentence, and then you put in another one until there's like that perfection that you try to attain. So it's like a mental battle. But that was probably the most difficult, but most rewarding aspect of it for me. And then like on the other side of performing live in front of a crowd, I was always nervous, on the inside. I felt the nervousness, and I think that's normal. But like observing other artists perform on stage and they make it look so easy, start thinking to myself like, damn, like, is that person even nervous? They're doing it so effortlessly, and so gracefully. So just critiquing my own self, what it boiled down to is just over critiquing, instead of just kind of just letting go and just going with the flow. From that one podcast we talked about flow. So, but yeah, that's what it was for me, guys.
Dominique.
Hey, I was talking and I didn't realize I was on mute.
Oh,
Yeah, I was like, when we were laughing, when Pedro was like, "Oh, you guys need to rewind it and say thank you for sharing." I was saying some stuff, and I was like, "What? They're not responding to me." But
maybe it was meant to be muted.
Oh yeah, maybe it was meant to be muted. I think I clicked it on accident, but yeah. I wanted to get off topic for a second because since I'm on video, I was laughing because Pedro. What did you say, Pedro? You said there was like different dudes at your house.
What?
Did you say your mom was with different dudes?
No, I said my mom would be with different guys every other week, or you know what I mean? She'll be with like different.
Yeah, it reminded me of this meme. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh my lord!
It says party at your. It says party at your mom's house.
Oh my god!
My bad. I had to share it because I'm like, I know they see me laughing.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Then I
make sure you don't put that on Instagram, all right?
No.
Hey, that's not explicit. That's not explicit. It's like a hot dog restaurant. They have their own trucks, so it's like
it's a business.
Yeah, it's a business. But I want to know if I can ask Alex about his friend that he lost contact with.
Gary.
Oh, sorry, Gary.
Yeah. What about him?
Have you tried to reach out to him? Because I have a similar situation. I was working with one of my friends. We made great music together. I have all the archives, and it's just fell off the face of the earth. Like, have you tried looking for him, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. These days I haven't been able to. I had his number, so I texted him a couple years ago, like 2 years ago. It was sometime after my dad passed away in 2020, and I had messaged Andy. I don't know, maybe a month or two after my dad passed away. So, what the hell? Another meme.
Because Pedro's like laughing, and I'm over here fucking cracking up, bro.
What are you laughing at, Pedro?
He's still pondering on it. That's why I'm like, bro, like you can just see his wheels turning. I was like,
it's like, damn, they're happy that my dad died 2 years ago. Like,
no, it's because you can see it in Pedro's face. Like he's still thinking about what Dominique said, and I'm like, I started looking at him, I'm like, bro.
No, because I seen Alex like put his head down, and I thought he was laughing, and then I see you laughing, and then I see Gary laughing, Dominique laughing, and I'm just like, man.
I was trying to suppress that shit. Sorry, not trying to cuss, but I was trying to suppress it, and then I seen Alex laugh. Laughing.
Yeah, because I started laughing because it looked like Pedro was trying to ponder and still trying to like make sense of what had just happened.
My Pedro? Huh? What was going through your mind right now?
I didn't offend you, right, bro?
No.
Oh,
You
okay.
didn't. No. I don't really try to get offended, you know.
Mhm.
But no, you're good. Go ahead, Gary.
Go, yeah, my bad, Gary.
Continue.
No, it's all good. It's all good. You got a good laugh out of it. But a couple of years ago, I had messaged him. This is back when I had his number stored in my contact. And we chatted for a little bit. He's a father. He had, I think at the time he had told me his girlfriend was pregnant or the baby was already born. It was one of the two. So I'm assuming by now the baby is born and whatever. He's fatherhood. So that was the last time we had any contact. So I was going through my emails, trying to find something. Didn't find anything. I tried looking for him on Facebook. He's nowhere to be found. And so, like you said about your friend, like it just seems like they fell off the face of the earth. That's kind of how I feel with my friend, friend Andy, and he has all the music. I don't have none of it. The only access I have to it are the songs that were uploaded to SoundCloud.
Yeah.
That's
So,
yeah.
When you did talk to him, did you get to ask him about the stuff on YouTube or any of that?
Man, I don't recall.
No.
I want to say no.
Was he like a perfectionist?
I would say yeah, he was. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because like it was the same exact thing with my friend. Like we put out some crazy music, and I have access to a lot of it. Like he was so anal about it going out. I'm tempted to just leak the songs and see if that will find him. But
right.
But yeah, he was the same way. He had access to certain songs we did, and he put them out. And the next thing you know, they're nowhere to be found because he got to be a perfectionist, and basically didn't want to see that older stuff that we made and start deleting it. So yeah, I relate with you heavy on that. It's kind of weird how that happens. I've done the same. I've tried to look up my friend 50 different ways on Facebook and hit him up on old emails and old YouTube channels. Like, bro, when you see this, hit me up. So
exactly,
I didn't mean to get off topic or try to seem like I'm controlling the rhythm, but I had to ask.
No, not at all. No, yeah. I hope he hits me up somehow, some way, finds me. Maybe we'll run into each other at the market. I don't know, but
yeah,
I would like to actually get connected with him again and actually start making some more music.
Yeah.
I find these days like my desire to get back into music is growing stronger again. So
yeah, definitely. Well, go ahead, Pedro. My bad.
I'm gonna say like it sucks that you guys had lost like good music because like I never went through that. I never went through that because I always do my own music. Like obviously I don't make my own beats, but like what I keep all my stuff. You know what I mean? I don't really try to work with anybody. Like meaning like I don't let somebody have access to my music just like that. You know what I mean? Like if I go like for example, when I will go to Andy's house, I'll be like, hey, before I leave, send me my song. You know what I mean? Or when I go.
What about your features, bro? Like you feature on a song with somebody.
Yeah, if I'm featuring on a song with somebody, like I made a song that I share. There's times when I share a song that Alex actually told me that it was a good song. It was shame that I shared it.
Alex, looks like you about to rob somebody, bro. You hooded up and you got the hat on and shit.
Nah, it's because I had a nasty cough, so I had to go outside because I didn't want to interrupt anybody. I was like, damn.
Sorry. No. Sorry, that was my moment to laugh. Damn, we're all having these laugh sessions here.
Yeah, I was cracking up so much.
Too, Alex.
What happened?
There's a mute button. Just don't forget to unmute it like I did.
Oh, yeah. I could have just used that, though, huh?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I did a song with one of the guys. Well, my friend's and that's his manager, he said. And I featured with him, and I only shared a little bit of snippets of the song. And I told him, hey, bro, like, you guys gonna put the song up? He's like, no, not yet. We're working on a project, and it's already been a while. But I have the song. You know what I mean? I have my version of the song. You know what I mean? So even if I'm featured with somebody, I'm gonna always leave with the song. You know what I mean?
Man. All right, Pedro, you don't gotta show off on us.
No, I'm not.
Me and Gary got lost music, and you like telling us always leave
like,
the song,
shot
bro.
every fucking song.
Yeah.
You want to see him?
I don't even know. Me, Pedro, and our friend Lalo did a song called "Letter to My Heartbreak," and I don't even know where that's at. Do you have that?
Yeah, it's on my SoundCloud, I believe.
Of course he has it. He just said
he has the rights to everything.
Hey, I was trying to catch him slipping, bro. I was hoping he didn't have it.
He was gonna be like, that's the one I don't have.
Yeah, I was about to ruin his own case, bro. He's gonna have to send it to me right after. Get back to Alex's question. For me,
years later,
I think the biggest thing about kind of getting that song that picks up traction is the routine you have behind it. What songs you did to work up to it. You know, a lot of people talk, like Pedro said, you always have criticism, which, Pedro did face a lot of criticism. Like, I give it to him, and I seen him mature in his rhymes, but he took a lot on the head, when he was first started rapping. People were ruthless, bro.
You can't even tell the story.
Tell us the story. No, I'm just kidding.
You gotta tell us the story now. He's over there crazy. No.
You're bringing a lot of memories, man. All right. I'm getting flashbacks.
Yeah, so I think a lot matters about the songs that you made beforehand. Like I brought up the criticism because I did a whole bunch of remixes, and people talk so much mess. Like, why are you doing remixes? I think even Pedro was talking mess to me. Like, why are you doing remixes? Yeah, because Pedro.
He's not like, I own the rights to those songs too.
Yeah. Pedro always had original beats. Pedro did. The only remix I know of Pedro really doing was "Letter to My Heartbreak" or whatever it's called. But yeah, Pedro always had original beats. So I always did remixes, and just as you keep going and making them, you start maturing, and you don't really know where the hit's gonna be sometimes. Like the hit for me was a remix I did to "Love Sosa" by Chief Keef, and it's still on SoundCloud. So I remixed it and I put Love SD because my name was Smooth Dollar, so SD was the initials, and that song took off. And I did a music video. We were all bad 16-year-old kids. We went to some house party. I didn't drink or really smoke like that, but everybody else in the background was doing it. So I was shooting my footage, and some stuff went wrong. We hopped out of that party and I edited the video. And yeah, people were like, "That's the main song." People were sharing and tagging me. And like, yo, this song is crazy. So I think part of it is just like the work you do before you get to that song. And there's so many things that come behind it, but that's what I noticed for me. Of course, there's going to be creativity. There's going to be new life experiences you go through and things of that nature that's really going to push that hit out for you. But sometimes you got to force it, I'm not a fast reader, so I'm going to reference the last book from the last podcast, which is Power of Habit. But it talks about the song from Outkast called "Hey Y'all." We were just talking about Outkast. So you guys remember that song, "Hey Y'all"?
Yeah, of course.
When that song was put out, they put it through a software that can predict if you have a hit or not. So it went through that software and it said this is like, I think it said 90 or 100%. Like, this is a hit. So they got the song done and they put it out on the radio. They sent it to the DJs, but they weren't getting a good response from it. Because you guys could remember the song. It's pretty different, right? It doesn't sound like similar to other stuff that was out at the time, right? Like,
it was more like an anthem, sort of an anthem like song.
Yeah, and Outkast has their own style, so they noticed that it wasn't becoming a hit, and they had to force it. So what they did is they listened to other people's listening habits. When would they turn the radio station, and what songs were they listening to the most? And what they had to do was they found similar sounds to that song, "Hey Y'all," and they start blending it in to kind of get your brain familiar with that sound, and then for it to listen to the whole song of "Hey Y'all," and then people ended up liking it, and it became like a #1 record. So I bring that up just to say sometimes you gotta force it. Sometimes people don't know that it's a hit yet. It might be before their time, and that's it talks about that too. There's a couple songs that came out before their time, and then remakes of it get done, and then down the line they revert back to the original, and they're like, "Man, the original's cold." Yeah. It just wasn't ready for their ears yet at the time. So there's a lot that goes behind it.
It grows on people. Yeah, certain songs just grows on you. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I wanted to say, like, for me, the hardest, it would be, like, the writing process, like Gary mentioned. There's times when, like, this song that I did with one of my friends, her name is Iniobel, it's in Spanish and English song, like, that was one of the songs that I wrote half of the verse. Well, I wrote a whole verse. I was in the studio, and she was short on time, and I was like, dang. And then I had to scratch a lot. I took off half of the verse, and I just told the engineer, look, bro, just turn off the lights and the whole thing. And I just freestyled. I went and I just freestyled everything. But there's times when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take pieces from here, from this song that I wrote, and then pieces from here, and then just connect them together. You know what I mean? But that's the hardest part, because there's times when people come to my house to record, no judgment, because we all been on writer's block, I believe, and they come and they're like, okay, show me some beats. So I show them some beats, and okay, I'm gonna start writing, and it turns into an hour to 2 hours, and they're like, oh, I have nothing, you know. So if that doesn't work, then freestyle. So then I've been there before, so I'm just like, okay, so obviously the patience, you know what I mean. But I feel like a lot of people like struggle with the whole writing process. I believe that's the hardest thing for me.
Yeah.
Quick question. Oh, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah. I just want to refer back to something that Dominique said, talking about like samples and remixes and all of that. I want to basically touch upon 2 points, but first I want to touch upon Dominique's points first, where he was talking about like remixing like older songs, right? With the whole like TikTok, and you see like these shorts with little like samples of old songs, and not even those clips in itself, but also like current music that samples, music from like the 80s, 70s, and so forth and so forth. Do you guys think that all that sampling is lack of originality in the music industry?
No.
I believe so.
So who wants to go first?
I don't think so.
To a degree.
It could be. I mean, you can't count it out entirely, but every artist is different. Dominique is, I mean, like, I don't know what the reasoning was behind Dominique sampling songs, but it doesn't mean it's a lack of originality. I never sampled songs. We never sampled songs, me and Andy. But just being on the topic right now, I kind of wish we did, because I feel like it puts us to the test to see if we can even match, compete. You know what I'm saying? Keep up with that song, because that's the original song, right? Let's say I sampled something by Dr. Dre. That's heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? So if I can manage to put out a song that keeps up with Dr. Dre, then that says a lot about me and Andy, right? Or whoever's doing the music. So I don't think it's lack of originality. It could be. I don't want to count that out entirely, but could be.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with Gary, and also at the same time, depending on when you remix it, we could be in a completely different sound era, so where we can sample or remix something from back then and add the new sound to it. So it's like, at this point, I have to admit, some people might disagree with me, but I would say almost everything to be done in music has been done already. I just played this country song, popped up on my Apple Music. I listen to the country, I like the mainstream stuff. I'm not like the original country music listener, but some of the new stuff's been lit lately. But yeah, the song comes on, and the chords to the guitar in the beginning, I recognize it immediately, and I look up the song that I know it from. The song that I know it from isn't known at all. Like, nobody. The song that I know it from is called "Your Call" by Serenade or something like that. Nobody knows of that song, but this person, his name is what's his name? I think his name is Morgan Wallen, a country singer. He came out with a song called "Last Night." Has the same exact chords in it, and I guarantee for a fact he didn't sample it. I know for a fact they didn't sample it. It's just it gets to a point to where only so many things can be done in a certain area. So and now last night that song is taken off, and a lot of people are playing it on TikTok and whatnot. So, I would say that just a lot of things. I would say we're at a point in music where almost everything's been done. Some things will have to be recycled, and that's kind of just the fact of the matter. But I was wondering, Pedro, with the stuff that you said you recycled from some of your other songs, did that take off in other songs that you used it for, or
it actually did. Like the song from No Pain,
yeah,
I took it not from a complete song. I just like there's times when I'm writing a song or I hear a beat and I'm writing to it, and then I'm halfway done, and then I listen to another beat, and then I'm just like, okay, let me write to that one.
yeah,
And then there's another beat, I write to that one, and then I'm just like, man, I get writer's block. And you can call it lazy or whatever, but there's times where I'm just like, man, I can't think. I try to go for a walk, try to, think, try to take a little break, but then I come back and I'm just like, let me see if I can recycle this from here if it goes through. That's what I did with one of the songs called Was It Real? That's what I did, but it does, like, there's times, like, when I do that, there's times when I get more, right now it's not about the views for me, but there's times when I do that, the views are more up there, you can say,
yeah,
It's weird. But going back to what you guys were saying, I didn't mean that if you sample something that is not, like, I agree with both with Gary and Dominique. I agree.
Better agree with us. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, bro.
Everything has been done already. I heard this song. I heard this song by Kingdom Music. They sampled another song from I think his name is Thistle, and the beats are the same. One of them has like more bass, more whatever, and then the other one, so it's like it's different but the same. And maybe they want to pay their respects. Maybe it could be whatever. But and you're right. There's so much that we can do in originality in music. You know what I mean?
yeah. And oh, my bad. Sorry,
No,
I got a little too excited.
I was done already. I was done.
Oh, and that was my next point. Is that like people talk mess on Drake when he does a reference verse. They're like, "Oh, Drake stole somebody's rhyme." He didn't steal it. You did a reference verse, and people don't know what that is. So it's basically paying their respect to that person. And then not only that, when Drake does a reference verse, he's doing it on the songs that he's not getting paid for, and they're still going viral. But that's why it's like it brings me back to another point, like how me and Gary were talking about, like the people we work with being a perfectionist. You have to put everything out because, like what Alex was bringing up about TikTok, you have no clue. You can make a random song; it could be trending in the next 5-10 years on TikTok for no reason, no reason at all. So if you don't put it out, being a perfectionist or something, you miss that opportunity. But yeah, I agree with what you said, bro.
I think too, if I may add, about sampling, it's like there's obviously probably many reasons why an artist will choose to sample a particular beat or whatever. I mean, a couple things that come to mind. One, you like it, right? I mean, if you don't like a song, I don't think you'll sample it. So there's that aspect, and then maybe that particular song, sampling it you think it's a good idea because the potential to take off is higher, because it's a popular song at the time or whatever, or it was. So there's all these different reasons why an artist will choose to sample, and I think at the end of the day, if whether you sample or not, in my opinion, it shouldn't make you any less than an artist. I think it should make you better, just as long as you bring it, though. You got to bring that heat and the fire. And, I mean, if you sample a great ass song and then your verses and your writing is mediocre, you need to stop that. You need to stop that. I don't know, or not so much stop that, but at least try to grow. You know what I'm saying? Try to improve. Like, because I'm not gonna put anybody down for being where they're at, whether it's musically, career, whatever. Wherever you're at doesn't mean you'll have to stay there, right? You can always advance. There's a process to that, but you know you can always advance. So, just wanted to add that about sampling.
Yeah, I agree with Gary because have you guys heard that song by Beyonce called "Cuff It"? It was like her big hit right now.
No, I haven't.
I'm sure you guys have heard it. Like it's huge
heard
on
it, but
TikTok.
Probably heard it, but
Yeah,
probably
so
don't by name.
yeah,
the name
I'm
doesn't
sure you
ring bells.
guys
But
heard
yeah,
it, but it was huge right now, and I hate it. Like it sounds like butt to me. But somebody on TikTok remixed it. I'm trying to make sure I don't use bad language. Somebody on TikTok remixed it.
like gluteus maximus to me.
So somebody on TikTok took her vocals and put it on the song. I know you guys know this song, "Wetter" by Twista.
Wetter,
Yeah. So somebody took her vocals and put it on the song "Wetter" by Twista. It sounds way better, like a whole new song. Like I can actually listen to the version of it on "Wetter" versus the original. So sometimes it might be the thing that your song needs. Like, you know, somebody was going for originality, which is cool, you know, do your thing. But somebody's like, you know what, this might sound really good on this beat sample. And that's what somebody on TikTok did. And it sounds so good that Beyonce went and re-recorded it and then added in different things that weren't on the original song. And then even Twista went on there and said, like, I approve. So, you know, and that happens a lot. I've seen some people cover and remix Ed Sheeran stuff, and he hops on like, dang, you did it better than me. Like, keep the song. So I think there is originality that comes with sampling, just hearing something and then knowing a way that you can do it or what you can add to it. And it just becomes overlooked because some people are so honed in on, like, you know, only create original. But at some point, like, things are so different now. Like back then, I'm sure, as you guys know, I'm not sure if you were producing beats, Gary, but I'm sure you flirted with it, right, Pedro? Were you making some beats?
Yeah, I started to.
Yeah. So it's like from back then in that era, you had to make every sound that you were inputting. Now we're in an era where it's pre-recorded loops, and somebody can press the key on the board, and it's already a loop. So there's just mixing up loops, and they're still called producers and beat makers, but really they're not making the beat from scratch. All of these are pre-made, and that's just coordinating and putting it together. So I guess to an extent, it becomes that person's truth. What is original to them, and whatnot. So that's kind of my input on it when I think about it as well.
Yeah, and going back to one of the things that we were talking about with like TikTok, since I know that you guys take your music seriously, and I know that there's a bunch of different ways to mix and match and sample and cover, right? Like, what are your thoughts on the fact that nowadays you don't really necessarily, at least for me, the way that I kind of look at stuff, like your music doesn't necessarily have to be good with the lyricism. It just has to be like a catchy beat. What are your guys' thoughts on like the fact that your song could be really, really dumb, and for whatever reason, just catch fire because of trends or because of social media or because it becomes a dance? Like, what's your thought on? Without due respect, right? Like, you don't necessarily need to put a lot of effort behind basically what you're producing or what you're throwing out there.
Can I go first?
Yeah, go for it, bro.
So I remember a while ago you interviewed me, Alex, and you asked me a question about lyricism. I'm sure Gary agrees, and I'm sure Dominique agrees. I feel I'm not taking no credit on. I'm not saying that making a beat is easy, because making a beat is hard. You know, I tried it a few times and it's hard. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm big on lyrics. You know what I mean? That's why I listen to older cats than newer cats. I'm not saying that the newer cats don't have lyricism or anything, but nowadays it's just about the sound, like you said, about the groove of the beat. I give my friend a ride to work, and he listens to some different types of beats, songs that I don't even listen to, and he just moving his head, and I was like, I don't care what he says, I just listen. You know what I mean? I just listen to the beat. You know, he's all like dancing like that or whatever. But to me, man, that's why I grew up with like Eminem and Nas and Rakim and all of those guys because they you can actually hear what they went through. You know what I mean? Again, like I can't like really stress it enough how lyrics to me are very important. You know, and yeah, I really don't know how to articulate it, but
Bro, you take your friend to work, but you let him play his music.
sometimes, sometimes, not all the time.
Dang, bro.
Only when he puts gas. Not the same.
You want to play a song? $20 in gas, please.
For one song.
I would hope so. I was like, dang, you taking this dude to work and he playing his music, bobbing his head.
No,
Bro, oh
yeah. Were you gonna say something, Tomo?
I was gonna ask Alex if you can elaborate a little more as far as when you say how do we feel, like do you mean do we agree with it or do we understand?
Yeah, do you guys like the fact that nowadays you could basically spew out anything? Like if you guys are taking like the craft of like actually creating music, literally like sitting down, writing down lyrics, spitting bars, trying to come up with, things that actually like make sense or send a message or that I don't know, like that actually makes sense overall, right? Like, what are your thoughts on the fact that anybody could just put like scoopity doop, doopity doop, and it becomes like a big thing, bro?
Are you gonna give your input on that, or did you want me to go?
I'm gonna wait for you because I saw you talking first,
yeah.
So I didn't want to cut you off. I was just wanted to ask him
for clarity.
The last part, the clarity.
Fair enough. I mean, like for me, when I was making music, lyricism was important to me. What's funny though is what's ironic really is lyricism was very important to me. I pride myself on being a lyricist, right, quote unquote. But the music I was listening to was not very lyrical. It was more like dope ass beat heavy, So, which was ironic, and I kind of feel like that's what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to have like dope ass beats and kind of just and some chill, laid back lyrics where I don't have to put too much thought and emphasis into it. I never actually did that, and with the music that I made with Andy, never got a chance to. But I think it really depends on the artist and what their intention is. If your intention is to be a lyricist, then you'll go out and do that. If it's not, and you just want to, whatever your intention is with making a song, you'll do that. I'm not against it. In this, I kind of feel from how music started, how hip hop and rap started back in the day, and to where it's at now. It's kind of feel like it started off simple, where it wasn't very lyrical, and now we've gone through a lyrical phase, and where it was like the Nas's and the Rakims and those guys that really put a lot of intellectual thought into their writing. That's more underground now, and now we're back to simple, I guess, like simple rap music, right? Where the beat is really dope and the lyrics aren't just simple, right? So I think everything has come around full circle, and whatever, the culture and rap is still alive and it's still around, so I'm all for it. At the end of the day, you're not forced to listen to any artist that you don't want to listen to, or So I kind of listen. I try to be open minded when it comes to the music and who I listen to, because I feel like even like I listen to some they're Mexican American rap artists out of San Diego and up north, right? And they all got some fire ass shit to say, right? And I'm like listening to, and then people will be like, who the fuck is that? Like, I never heard of this person, and I'd be like, hey, I didn't hear about them until recently either, and I like what they're saying, right? So it's like whoever, if it resonates with you, if it catches your ear, then listen to it. If it doesn't, then you don't have to listen to it. And like Pedro said earlier, and Dominique said earlier, there's always going to be criticism. There's always going to be someone that might not see eye to eye with you, and that's fine. And I think that's what makes everybody, it just makes us. It's part of human nature, you know. But yeah, I mean, in today's music world, yeah, things take off so quickly, man. You can become successful over something that it might have took another artist years and years to achieve, right? And it's like, I don't know, is it fair? I mean, I don't know. It's pretty wild though, just to think about. So that's all I gotta say about that right now.
Dominique.
Nice. For me, lyrics matter, but I will say that most of the stuff I listen to is for the vibe, the instrumental, and the way they flow to the instrumental. Because, like, I was just thinking about it right now. I don't know if you guys heard of Lil Uzi Vert.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has, like, 2 songs that I vibe with, but I'm not going to lie, they're stupid. Like, he's not talking about nothing. One is called Erase Your Social, and then the other one is real big right now. It's called I Just Want to Rock, and he has a little dance he does to it. But my coworker had pointed out a couple of days ago when we were listening to it, she was like, he's not really talking about nothing. Like, he's just, I just want to rock, yada, 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 or something like a couple of times. And then the rest of it is just mainly instrumental. And I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that's true. Like, he says like a couple bars, does a hook, and then he just starts vibing out on the song. But it has like a cool energy that it brings. So I will say that I think I go for vibe, flow, and instrumental first. And to be honest, I'm not gonna put myself down, but I don't catch on to certain things as quick. So, like Pedro's favorite artist is Eminem. I like Eminem, but I might have to listen to one of his songs about 4 times to kind of hear what he's saying. Like I played a song the other day that was from 2018, and I had to pause it, and I was like, "Oh crap, he just said this, that, and the other." Like he'll say some stuff that really will go over some people's head, and they got to listen to it a couple of times. And even this Drake song I was playing the other day, I played a lot, and I was just driving, and I kept listening to it, and then I started figuring out what he was actually talking about in the song, and I'm like, whoa, like this is crazy, like. And I asked one of my coworkers who heard it; they didn't know he was talking about that. I had to tell them, like, yeah, he's really saying this, that, and the other. Yeah. So I say that just to say that it doesn't catch my attention at first. It's something that kind of grows on me. And then once I figure out what they're doing, then I'm shocked because I'm like, I can't believe they fit all that in a song, or I can't believe he, figured out how to say this. So I would definitely say that, I'll probably go up vibe, flow, rhythm, instrumental first. Of course, I don't like the stuff that just sounds like super stupid. I don't like listening to that. But there's an art in the lyricism, though. Like I will say, one of my favorite type of songs is it's called an extended metaphor. I don't know if you guys heard of those kind of songs. No. So basically, it's a writing style. So what a metaphor. So I'm sure you guys know metaphors. You have similes and metaphors. So I'm trying to think of a metaphor off the top of my head. Do you guys know one off the top of your head?
Oh, fuck, no. I guess I forgot the definition.
No, well, basically, a metaphor is a comparison without using the words as or like. That's basically
right. Because as or like is a simile.
Simile, exactly.
So when you use a metaphor, it would be a simile would be like is I'm hot like fire. Yeah. That's a simile,
right?
But a metaphor would be I'm so hot they call me fire or something like that. So it's saying you are instead of your like.
Comparing, right?
Yeah, so simile is comparing. Metaphor is saying that you are what you're saying you are.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite songs, I just sent it to Pedro, is a song by Eminem called Seduction. And he does it a couple times, but it's an extended metaphor of him talking about him. And there's another song he did called 25 to Life. But it's talking about him and it's talking about the music industry. So when you listen to 25 to Life, it's going to sound like he's talking about a bad marriage with his wife and he's getting a divorce. But then when you really listen to it and start to dig deep into it, he's really talking about his marriage with the rap industry, with the music, and that's what I can appreciate, because that's gonna go. You play that for the average person, that's gonna go over. Sorry guys, my lights just went off. You play that for the average person,
power
it's gonna
outage
go
over
over your head. I don't know what it is. I think it's my breaker or my circuit breaker. But you play that for the average person, it's gonna go over your head. And if you listen to it a couple times, and you're like, "Oh, he's really talking about this."
Yeah.
You want to go take your light thing? You want to go get the breaker?
Back in business.
Just like, nah, I got a spare light.
Let's go.
I tried to be more professional this one time. I got my headphones, and then I got a little LED lamp. My lighting's not as good as Gary's. Gary's got that nice.
Gary got that.
I got that nice natural
light, sunlight.
Moreno. I'm in Moreno Valley at my brother's house right now.
Oh, nice. And, that's where I'm from.
Oh, cool. You really? Yeah. He just moved out here probably about 7 months ago. Buying his first home, so congrats to him. But yeah, the skies are nice over here right now, mountains and everything. But anyways, back on the topic of music, were you gonna continue saying some
no,
stuff?
I finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, with so many music being produced and now with all of these outlets, do you guys think that there's more pressure for an artist to keep dropping music? Because now the artists are very accessible just because of the fact that they're basically on your phone.